Henry, thank you. I know your mom and dad are huge Gopher fans and probably even a bigger fan of what you're doing in your sports. So I wish you best of luck. Chuck Agan will introduce our speaker today. Chuck joined our club 18 years ago and was sponsored by Dick Teagan. Chuck lives in Edina and is an attorney. Chuck?
Well, you can tell it's been a number of years because now, even though I print things extra large, I still need my glasses. But we have a speaker today about Gillette Children's Specialty Healthcare. It's Bill Levin. We met him just briefly before when he had to introduce himself. I'm sorry we weren't coordinated enough to think of that. But he joined the development staff at Gillette Children's Specialty Healthcare in 2009. Bill and his colleagues are responsible for philanthropic support, event sponsorship, and corporate alliances. Before Gillette, Bill spent 24 years in institutional sales with Piper Jaffray's bond department. He's a member and programs co-chair of Minneapolis City of Lakes Rotary. You heard somebody else was just changing Rotaries, Bill, so think about that. He's also a member of the board of the Friends of the Hennepin County Library. He lives in downtown Minneapolis with his wife, Gloria. Bill and Gloria have 2 adult children and 3 grandchildren. And we also have another guest and speaker, and that's Brandon Whitrock, who's a Gillette patient. He'll be able to tell us more about his life's journey. In 2009, at age 12, Brandon represented the hospital and Children's Miracle Network in the Children's Miracle Network Champions Across America in Orlando, Florida, and Washington, D.C. Brandon is accompanied by his parents, Jerome and Sherry, and their family, which includes Brandon's sister Brittany, lives in Burnsville. Please welcome Bill Levin.
Thank you, Chuck, President Steve, and fellow Rotarians. I'm happy to be here on this chilly day, but it's warm enough in Edina that the optimists are getting their cars washed at the BP station on Wooddale near Jerry's. So you can go over there afterwards if you're as optimistic that you can get the doors not to freeze this evening. Thanks for your time. What we'll do here just briefly so we can have about 10 minutes for questions and answers is I'll give you some background on the history of Gillette Hospital. We'll hear Brandon's story, and then Brandon and I will be able to field your questions and give you the appropriate answers. There we go. Gillette is a specialty hospital. It's the best hospital that you've never heard of, dealing with issues like cerebral palsy, spina bifida, neurotrauma, spasticity management, traumatic brain injuries, concussions, spinal cord injuries, gait abnormalities, and developmental delays. The name does not have anything to do with the Gillette Safety Razor Company. They are not contributing to us. It has to do with Dr. Arthur Gillette. He and a Carleton undergraduate named Jesse Haskins convinced the state of Minnesota to found a hospital in 1897, which rather than institutionalize children, would instead help them to live their lives to their full capacity through surgery and rehabilitation. It was operated as a state hospital until 1984 and is currently a private independent nonprofit with outstanding cooperative relationships with Regents Hospital as well as other hospitals in the Twin Cities. Hospital care at Gillette has always been free. It's primarily for orthopedics and other disabling conditions. Anybody who's ever been to the Minnesota Humanities Center near Lake Phelan, that's the last surviving building of the Gillette campus. 60 years at Lake Phelan. Currently, we share space at Regents Hospital, and again, we're a private nonprofit. What do? We see 25,000 patients every year, 130,000 outpatient visits. I don't have the figures yet from 2013, obviously, but I have no reason to believe that the trend is going to do anything other than increase as it has been. We see kids from all over Minnesota, 43 states, and 13 other countries. Who are we? Our main campus is right down below the state capitol, right next to Regions Hospital, 52 full-time physicians, 258 physicians with privileges, and 1,300 employees on that campus. We serve children with disabling conditions, and as noted down at the bottom in the blue there, 4,500 of those patients in 2012 came from the greater West metro area, plus an additional 5,300 from Hennepin County. On your tables, you'll find a brochure that describes some of the things that you can do. Your kids could. They may not need us. We hope they won't need us, but if they do, how many people have kids playing hockey or football or skiing? Concussion is an issue, obviously, as you know. This is another specialty at Gillette, and you can also Penny. We were speaking earlier about some of the other counseling opportunities that are available for families at Gillette by referral from the Edina Public Schools. Additional medical diagnostics and support, assistive technology, we'll talk about that in a minute. The Gait and Motion Analysis Laboratory is the busiest in the country. We are in partnership with Regions Hospital for Level 1 pediatric trauma care, the first in Minnesota. Ronald McDonald Family Room offers services to families whose kids are in the Level 1 Pediatric Trauma Center or who are in the hospital in our 60 licensed beds for a long period of time. And here we are, our new building, 205 University Avenue East, just opened, 3 floors where we can add an additional 3 to 5 floors, providing rehab services as well as clinic. Assistive technology, what you can see the gentleman holding here, we build our own orthotics and prosthetics right in our lab in St. Paul. Dr. Steve Koop, our chief of medicine, has pioneered a surgery simulation center where not only can the doctors perform surgery on a computer assisted dummy, if you will, but also where high school students can come and get up close and see what a medical career might be like. Our metro locations, in addition to our main campus in St. Paul with 60 licensed beds, an adult clinic off of Phelan Boulevard in St. Paul, which is home to Gillette Lifetime Specialty Healthcare. We, as you know, as I described to you, we do deal with lifetime conditions. So at the Lifetime Clinic, we're happy to continue to provide services to adults who are working with issues relating to child onset issues. In Minnetonka, at 62 and 494, we have 2 facilities, a clinic and a therapies facility. In Burnsville and Maple Grove, we also have a couple of facilities, and very significantly, we do mobile outreach. We have a bricks and mortar location in Baxter in the Brainerd Lakes, in Duluth, in Wilmer. We're opening one in partnership with the Mankato Clinic in Mankato in the fall of 2014. And we also have our vans go out to a number of other locations. Why is that significant? Because families don't necessarily have to bring their kids to downtown St. Paul for fittings of prosthetics, orthotics. Obviously, that's downtown St. Paul is where surgery is done, but that is not where every call has to be made. Thanks very much for your attention. I'd like to turn over the podium to Brandon Whitrock. Brandon is a Gillette patient with very expressive ability to tell you his own story. Brandon.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to thank you for allowing me to come here and tell my story. And I am diagnosed with cerebral palsy and hydrocephalus, which is fluid on the brain. This all started out when I was born. I was born at 1 pound, 13 and a half ounces. And when I was born, my mom and dad's wedding ring slid up my arm. So after bouncing around to many different hospitals, I've had lots of complications. And we came to Gillette, and they just have a bunch of great doctors and nurses there that have been so great to me. I am 16 years old now, and I have had 34 surgeries. Just last year, I had an osteotomy, basically, which was my left leg turned in when I walked, and they had to go in and correct it, because if they didn't, I would lose my ability to walk when I was an adult. So what they did is they broke my femur from the waist on down, broke my hips, and I had to relearn how to walk again. There was some complications the day after, and I had to go back in for the same surgery twice. So that significantly sent back my recovery time on how I could walk, but things have been going a lot better than anticipated, and I'm walking around standing here today, which is amazing. Oh, yeah. Okay, and I was getting to that. Sorry, I forgot. Because of all these great stuff that I've done with the hospital, I've done a lot of public speaking on behalf of them, and they rewarded me with a trip called the Champions Cross America event. I was in the 6th grade at the time. I'm a junior in high school now, and they flew us out to Orlando. It was one kid from every state. I got nominated out of the state of Minnesota to go do this, which is super cool. I got to go meet the country star, Mark Wills, Julianne Hough, Dancing from the Stars, put on her own private concert for us in Orlando, and I got to dance with her on stage, so I was pretty psyched about that. And every one of us got crowned with champion medals to solidify that we were the champions. And then they flew us out from Florida to D.C., where we got to go tour around, see some monuments, and then we got to go tour around in the White House. And as you can see, I got to shake President Obama's hand. So that was like the best moment of my life right there. I know that when I was younger growing up, people kind of, in elementary school, they didn't understand my disability. They just kind of stared at me wondering what was going on. And I always tell people, I'm not afraid if you guys ask questions because I'm an open book. People are curious. So I always tell them that, and I've always said that my motto is never to give up, never back down, and never to lose faith, because God has helped me through so much, and without him, I wouldn't be able to keep the positive attitude that I have and to keep going strong. So I've gotten to do a lot of cool stuff, and I'm very thankful for that. I've done lots of gait labs in order to, which basically what that is they put a bunch of cameras around, and I'm hooked up, and they track my oxygen to see how much oxygen capacity I burn off when I walk, because it takes a lot of energy just for me to walk up and down the stairs. So that's the problem with me. I also burn off a lot of weight when I walk. Just walking down the stairs, it requires a lot of energy, so they can track that. And I also have braces on my legs that help me walk, and I've received physical therapy at Gillette for a long time now. But I just got amazing news that throughout my recovery, I will not have to go back to Gillette for PT. I just have to continue it at home for after 4 months. And considering that I had 2 surgeries in the span of 2 days in April, and then I had another one in June, so 3 surgeries in 4 months. That's pretty remarkable. That's all I have to say here today. Thank you guys very much.
Brandon and I would be happy to take your questions. I think we can figure out which questions go to me and which questions go to Brandon, but that's up to you folks. Yes, over here.
Tell us a little bit about funding of the hospital.
Funding of the hospital. The hospital is a private nonprofit. It has a very solid balance sheet for those of you who are interested in financial reporting. It is rated A- by Standard & Poor's, which you would find is a very high rating for a hospital. It's not the largest balance sheet or the largest hospital in the Twin Cities, but through philanthropic support, we are able to do things that we need to for patients. Much of the funding for surgeries and other medical care comes from Medicare and Medicaid. However, there are things that Medicare and Medicaid does not cover. One of the things we didn't talk about, for example, is what we call positive distraction. A patient who needs to have repeated MRIs or CT scans might under other conditions need anesthesia or something of that nature to help overcome anxiety. We instead, through philanthropic support, are able to create a system of music, videos that are played on the walls and the screen of the MRI or the CT scan room, and that lessens tensions, and the amount of anesthesia that's required drops dramatically. But Medicare, Medicaid does not pay for that, so philanthropic support is very important. Have I answered your? Okay, great. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So, Brandon, what do you like to do for fun? What are your hobbies?
I take part in Special Olympics. I love doing that. I have a bunch of great friends that go out there and volunteer, and I've run track. I run the 25-meter assisted walk and the 50-meter, and I've taken gold and silver and bronze medals in that. Funny story is they call it an assisted walk. So I'm out there running as hard as I can. This guy who's in charge of this or whatever, like this police officer comes and he stops me. He's like, "Son, this is an assisted walk. You have to slow down. You have to slow down." That's the true story. So I'm slowing down, and I'm like, "Are you serious? We're Special Olympics." So I'm running as fast as I can, or slow at this time, and I just crossed the finish line to take gold. So I also do bowling and stuff. So.
I would say that, first of all, my twin daughters have gone to school with Brandon since kindergarten. So we've known the Whitrock family through Brandon, Angela and Erica have. And just the first thing I'll add, I'll just make a comment, is the impact that he has had on the kids and the youth of not only Lakeville, South High School in that area has been phenomenal. I want to just say thank you to Brandon and his family for what they have done. But then I would also ask Brandon, what are your goals? Where do you want to go? What are your objectives? I know we spoke a little earlier, but where do you see yourself going, and where pursuing school? And what are some of the things down the road for you that you were going to be pursuing?
My hopes are is to either go to Normandale and get a broadcasting degree, hopefully do something in radio or in TV. If that doesn't work out, then hopefully something in counseling.
Yes, sir. Back here.
Brandon, how inspiring your story is, and you are. And I don't officially represent Rotary, but we want you to be a Rotarian. Choose the Edina Rotary Club. I'm curious about two things. One, do you live with any pain, any physical pain, and if so, where? And talk about that. And then secondly, what's the outlook for you physically as you grow up and you continue to do your own therapy and rehabilitation?
I don't have any pain right now. The only pain is just going through the physical therapy and stuff like that with the surgeries. The only struggles I have really is that I have tight hamstrings, and with this cerebral palsy, that affects my ability to walk. So that's why I have this walker. And half of the battle is just mentally rather than physically, because if you don't have like a positive attitude towards this, then you're just kind of sitting in your room sulking. And there are moments when I've wanted to do that, but I have to give 100% credit to my parents for not allowing me to do that and for always keeping me on the right track, so I thank them for that.
Do you have other questions? Yes, sir.
Bill, I'm curious, the background of why you left a lengthy career at Piper Jaffray to represent Gillette so well here.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. First of all, I had a great time at Piper Jaffray, but in 2005 I started thinking about an intentional transition to nonprofit fundraising. I joined the Friends of the Hennepin County Library and helped as a volunteer with a capital campaign there. And then there was that little thing in the market called 2008. And if you cast your memory back then, it wasn't so much fun anymore. And I thought, okay, this is the right time for me to make this transition. Gillette was looking for a person as I was in that process. And when I heard stories like Brandon's and I met some of the caregivers like Dr. Steve Koop, I knew that was the right place for me. If no other questions, I would just say on behalf of Brandon and myself, thanks so much. And please come join us for breakfast at Minneapolis City of Lakes Rotary any Wednesday morning, 7:15 in the Minneapolis Club.
I'm not sure who organized this, but being the Director of Student Support Services with the Edina Public Schools and being responsible for the special education and all health services in the district going down to birth, I can attest to the fact that Gillette is a tremendous place. And there have been really significant connections between many Edina families and their children with the Gillette Hospital. And that starts, as I said, from the time children are born, that connection can be made. And it has made a tremendous difference in the lives of many children and their families. And so I am just thrilled to be able to be here before you and to thank you for your presentation and for all the work that you and the medical personnel do there at Gillette. I also want to say to you, Brandon, you're quite the inspiration. Having been in this role for many years, we've had many students with similar conditions and other complications that, you know, unless you're the child or you're the parents, you can hardly imagine the impact it has. But you have such grit and such courage and such a powerful core. And we just thank you for being here and sharing your story with us as well. So I do want to say that it's kind of interesting when you consider that Rotary's number one priority has been, at least in terms of the Rotary Foundation, is to eradicate polio. And we know polio can be devastating to children and adults as well in terms of the debilitation it can do to the body and the mind. And so since 1985, when Rotary launched their immunization program, over 2 billion children in this country have been immunized. And so, on behalf of your presentation and an appreciation, we will make a gift to the polio plan in your honor and in your honor. Okay, thank you.
Bill, thank you for joining us today and getting this lined up. I enjoyed hearing your story about moving from the public sector to the what you're doing now. Brandon, you're an inspiration. You have a great stage presence and voice. I hope you go down the route of broadcasting. You've got a great support group here, your mom and dad, and we're thankful that you could be here today. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your story. Kristen from the Y, everybody sign up and come and play dodgeball or swim or whatever we're going to do there. Mary is a guest today, and she traveled with Tim Murphy. And I know you could come back and tell some dirt on Tim in your travels. I don't think there's much dirt on Tim, but if there is, please let us know. Henry, is Henry still here?
He had to go to school.
Okay, you had to go to school. Okay. Oh, thank you very much. In the meantime, engage Rotary to change lives. Meeting adjourned.